Here we go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Cameron, and today we're going to be continuing with this series on how to make a Five Nights at Freddy's fan game in Clickteam Fusion 2.5. So in today's episode, we are going to be discussing power and how to make a power out and just generally another, just another thing to worry about. So basically, in this episode, we're going to be talking about obviously adding a power function. So whenever you go into your frame and you do something such as click on your lights, click on your doors, have your doors down, open your cameras, it wastes power, and eventually your power is going to drain so much that it gets to 0%. When it gets to 0%, there will be some eyes to the left that play some music, or that just kind of flicker on and off, kind of like Freddy from Five Nights at Freddy's 1, and then eventually you die, and then you have to repeat the process all over again. So that's what we're going to be doing in today's episode. So to do this, to start off, I'm actually going to get rid of these counters first because we don't need them. That was for my last episode, which you guys should go follow, by the way, or go watch. But anyway, I would suggest the first thing you do is go over to your layers toolbar and just click new layer. And along with that, hide your fourth layer too, which has like all your jump scares and cameras on it, because then you can just see your office and it makes things less cluttered. So from here, if you selected your fifth layer, you want to go right click, insert object. We're going to insert a string, and we're going to title this just power string, because it doesn't actually display our power, it just kind of says like power remaining quote, power string. So yeah, you do that. We're just going to change the font of this to, change it to white. I'm going to change the font size to 20, and I'm going to change the actual font to terminal. Alright, there we go. I'm going to extend this out a little bit, and I'm just going to type into here, power. Just get rid of text and just say power. Just add that too. And then our actual power is going to be, like, displayed. Now I'm going to put this on my bottom left corner because if you load in the night, it's kind of just away, and it doesn't really get in the way of anything, so yeah, and that counter is still there. We'll get rid of that. But anyway, we have that there for now, and now the next step is to actually insert a counter. So we're going to go over, let me do this real quick, let me just get that up there. Okay, our next step is to actually insert a power counter. So we're going to go right click, insert object, counter, and we are just going to extend this out a bit. Actually no, we don't got to do that, but when you insert your counter, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this counter to text, and then kind of match it up as the same text as my string down here. Now, if it's set to counter, it won't actually do anything. Like, you can't change, like, the font or anything. And the reason for that is, if you click onto your counter, then you go over to settings and you scroll down, you'll see this little, like, toolbar down here that says displays. And your type on it right now is on numbers. And you can't really do nothing with the numbers. But, if you want to, you can go over to type, and it'll release a little drop-down menu, and you can select text. When you select text, then you can go over to text options, and then you can just fiddle around with it, which is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to change the font of this to terminal, and I'm going to change the size of it to 20. So if you need a little refresher on how I actually did that, just slide that in front of my power. Basically, all I did was I went over to this counter over here. I went over to settings to the far left, scrolled down, went to type where it says numbers, and then I just select the text. But once you have that done, we're gonna actually see what that looks like, and that looks good. Yeah, it just looks like a regular counter. Obviously, we're gonna set it to 100 and do all that fun jazz, but we're not gonna do that right now. Well, actually, yes, we are. So we're gonna go over to event editor. Oh no, we can't go over to event editor. We forgot the main part about our power out shit. We forgot, like, the eyes at the left door, like, kind of like in FNaF 1, where Freddy flickers his eyes on and off. We're gonna insert that too, so, right-click, insert object, active, and we're just gonna call this eyes in the dark, because that's literally what it is. So, basically, this will be our kind of Freddy animation when he's at our left door. So, I'm gonna just insert one frame where I have just Freddy at the left door. It's not literally Freddy at the left door, it's just some eyes, but I open up my eyes, there we go, and it looks like this when it's out. Now, obviously, I'm going to go back into it because I actually need to add in a few extra stuff, but double-click into your eyes in the dark, and just insert a new frame. When you insert a new frame, it should just be one frame when there is eyes and one frame when there is not eyes. And finally, the last thing you want to do is you want to go over to View Hotspot on frame 1, hold down Alt and press the middle square. Perfect. Press OK, and that should be good. Yeah. Alright. So now that we have eyes in the dark, now we're actually going to get to the coding process. So go over to Event Editor, go down, go over to this new, just add in a new group of events, and we're going to title this Power. After you do this, go over to New Condition, go over to the Storyboard Controls, go Start Frame, scroll to the right, and go over to your Power Counter. Right click. Oh, we didn't even name our counter. Hold up. I forgot to do that. Just rename our Power Counter. But I'm just gonna title it Power. That's all I'm gonna title it. And now I did that, I'm gonna go over to my Power Counter, right click, set counter to 100. Now you can set that number to anything. You can set it to 200, 500. But generally saying, most FNaF fan games have your maximum starting power to 100, and then it'll go down to 0. Now that you have that in, now we're going to insert more counters and make them work together so that they subtract and do all that fun jazz. So we're going to go over to New Condition. We're going to go over to the left hallway light activation. Click on it, compare the counter to a value. When your left hallway light is on, go over, right click, insert, go over to the timer, every, and we're going to say use a calculation. So generally saying, I'm going to just go over to random range, and I'm just going to type in, I don't know what's a good number. I'm going to say for now, I'm going to say like 450 to 500. That might be too short, but we're going to find out really quick. So I'm going to set it to every 400 to 500. Go over to power, right click, subtract from counter, 1. And we're going to do this with everything else, but let me just see if this is too little or too much. So when I turn this on, power should go down. Now that is way too quick. So I'm going to change that to every 450 to 500. Now we're going to change it to 1000 to what? 1250. That seems good. So let's try that out. All right. Okay. I still think it's going a little too fast, so I'm actually going to just say 2000 to like 3000, I guess. And that should be good. That might be either too slow, too fast, but you can just test it out. Just see, like, how bad it's really going to be. And I think that's actually good because, obviously, it's just one little light on. But, all that, just whatever. Next, what we want to do is we want to go to New Condition, go over to the right hallway light activation, compare the counter to value. When the right hallway light is on, we're going to go right click, insert, the timer, every, use a calculation, and you can just copy this code down here, the every 2000 to 3000, or you can just change the number to anything you want, but I'm really just going to change it to 2000 to 3000. Alright, there we go. Then you want to just drag this check mark down so that it copies it, because it's just going to be the same thing. It just subtracts from 1. And if I just, turn on my light, it's just going to subtract 1. Yeah, exactly. So once you have that done, next what we want to do is we want to go over to New Condition, go over to the left door activation counter, click on that, and press when it equals 1, aka when it's down, right click, insert, the timer, every, use a calculation, random range, 2000 to 3000. And we're going to do this 2 more times with our right door and our cameras. Just drag this check mark down to power where it says subtract 1, do that, go over to New Condition, go over to right door activation, compare the counter to a value, when it is equal to 1, aka when it's down, right click, insert, the timer, every, use a calculation, every 2000 to 3000, every 2000 to 3000, subtract 1 from power counter. Then finally, we're going to go to New Condition, go over to the camera animation trigger, compare the counter to a value, go over to when it says equal 1, aka when it's up, right click, insert, the timer, every, use a calculation, random range, 2000 to 3000. And if you want to, actually before we do that, we gotta drag the check mark down. If you want to, you can just go over to new condition, go over to the timer, every user calculation, just every like, I don't know, let's just say every like 4,000 to 5,000, you can just have it automatically set, just take one power away every 4,000 to 5,000 if you want to, because FNaF 1, if you don't do anything, power still goes down. So you could do the same thing if you want here, but generally you don't have to, but that's just something that I might do. But as you can see, we have power working. I think it's going on a little too quick still, but so I'm just gonna change this to like every 10,000 because I don't know, just feels better. Just 10,000, 15,000. Just do that. And I'm actually gonna change these numbers to like 5, you know, like 2,500, 2,500, whatever you want to say, because we still want power to go down relatively slow, even if you use everything or anything. But I'm just gonna edit these, just change it to whatever you want to, whatever feels fair to you. And now what we want to do is, you want to go over to new condition, go over to power, compare the count to a value when it is equal to 0, not lower equal, but just equal to 0. We want to go over to our AI, our animatronic AI, so that the animatronics won't attack us, it won't be able to kill us after the power has ran out. So the only kind of entity we want to kill us is Freddy, obviously, because Freddy is like the character that kills you once the power runs out. In this case, however, I don't have like a Freddy Jumpscare, so we're just going to use Bonnie's Jumpscare, but that's besides the point. So go over to Bonnie location, right click, and what we want to do is we want to set counter to anything besides 0, 1, 2, 3, or 5, 4, or 4. So I'm just gonna set the counter to 99 because there is no code detecting what happens if Bonnie's location counter is at 99. That just isn't something we haven't coded in, so the game won't process what to do with it, so it won't do anything with the code. And we want to do the same thing for Chica, so you can just drag this over to Chica location counter, or you could just go like right click, set counter to 99 and do that as well. Now that you got that done, we want to go over to power, and we pretty much want to do the same thing, except we want to like make it negative. So when the power reaches 0, we want to make it a number that's kind of away from 0 to 100. So we can just make this number like, I don't know, like negative 100, let's just say. Now, obviously, this doesn't really affect anything. Like, if the power reaches 0 and this reaches negative 100, nothing's gonna happen. But there's a certain bug where if you kind of say, like, it's equal to 0 and you kind of just let the power keep going on, it's gonna do multiple events at once. And we don't want that. So, additionally, you want to go right-click, visibility, make object invisible. So now that you got that done, we want to actually start our, you know, we want to make it so that Freddy can appear to the left and just kind of do his whole eye flashing thing or whatnot. And to do that, we want to go over to the timer, right click, fire event after giving delay, and we're going to say after 300ths of a second, because we want to make this kind of like right away. We're going to just say, power out. And when the power is out, we want to copy this, go over to new condition, the timer, on event, power out. From there, what we want to do next is we want to make it so that our lights in our office and the hallway lights disappear. So on event power out, we're going to go over to overhead light in our office, right click, visibility invisible. And additionally, we want to go over to left brightness, so the brightness that appears at our left door. We want to go right click, and we want to go animation, not animation, visibility, make object invisible. And we want to do this for the right brightness too. So we're going to go right click, visibility invisible. And we are going to test this out. So basically, when the power equals 0, it's only going to fire the power out events once, because it's going to respond really quickly. And then we're also, before I actually get to testing, I'm going to just make this a little quicker and go to set counter from 100 and just go set counter to 5. This is our beginning power, and since I kind of want this tutorial to go a little quicker, I'm just going to set the power to 5 so I don't have to do a whole bunch of waiting or whatnot. And you can do that same thing too, or you can just wait till, you know, you can just wait and set the power to 100. You just got to remember to set it back. So let's try this out. So, as you can see, we're in the office. Power's to 5, but I did that on purpose. Then we're gonna close these doors and just waste a bunch of power, because now the power actually works. Okay, I'm gonna wait. And boom. So since that worked, our next step is we want to make it so that we want to actually have like a Freddy lullaby. We want to have Freddy appear at the left door. And to make sure that everything works, I'm actually going to go back to my frame and I'm going to double click into my Freddy like thing. And I have to check if we have it set to loop. I did not. Okay. So if you play it, the eyes are going to play repeatedly like this. And that's kind of how I want it to play out. So I'm going to press loop. Excuse me. Remember to do that as well. And then I'm also going to go up to start a frame where my eyes in the dark object is, which is my Freddy eyes. And I'm just going to set the visibility to invisible because now that I pressed, well, I'm sure I'm going to get rid of that. But since I pressed loop on it, now the animation is going to be playing because originally I did not press loop on it. I'm guessing you guys didn't either. And in case you didn't, that's completely fine. Just, you know, fix that, whatnot. But since the power, or not power, but since we didn't loop our animation, Clickteam automatically sent the eyes in the dark object to the very last frame, which our very last frame was like absolutely no eyes because we wanted to kind of flicker like this. So we have that done now, and just set that to invisible, just do that. And now, we're going to go over to on the timer event, power out, we're going to go over to the timer, right click, fire event after given delay, and we're going to say after 10 seconds, Freddy lullaby, let's just say. I think it's how you spell lullaby. So, copy that, Freddy lullaby, new condition, the timer, on event, Freddy lullaby. So basically in this event, Freddy is gonna come out and not, you know, like nibble on my giblets and whatnot. So basically, we're gonna go over to Eyes in the Dark because now the Freddy lullaby is actually activating. We're gonna go over to Freddy lullaby, Eyes in the Dark, right click, visibility reappear. So now, on timer event, power out. So when the power runs out, there's gonna be an additional event. After 10 seconds, Freddy's gonna come out and just nibble on my giblets. But actually, I'm thinking that waiting for Freddy to come out after 10 seconds is a bit long, so I might go back and change this later, but we're gonna test this out, see if this works. Alright, let's test this John out. Messing around with the cameras a little bit. Alright. Okay. Power's out. I'm gonna open these doors. We're gonna get rid of we're gonna add some code in so you can't press those, but that'll be later on. So, Freddy should appear. Yep, the eyes are appearing. Nice. And I also did notice that our power string and our HUD for our cameras, like our camera toggle, is still there too. And we don't want to be able to click on these, but once again, like I said before, we'll actually, I think we can just change that right now. So, just to get rid of these two, be sure to go up to power equals 0, go over to the power string, right click, and we're gonna go visibility, make object invisible, and we're gonna go over to the what was that thing? Oh yeah, the camera toggle. Go over to the camera toggle and just set that to invisible as well. There we go. And obviously, like I said before, that completely works. So that is great. Now our next step, obviously, like I said before, is a big issue is that we can still click our shit, and we can still click all of our, like, we can click our camera toggles, the light buttons, and the, you know, the doors and all that, when we don't want that to happen. So we have this done. I think what we do need to do is we have to trigger a jump scare, so that is going to be the next step we're going to do. And then after that, we're going to make it so that you cannot click, and you can't, like, do all this and then close doors, and then, even though we set the toggle to invisible, you can still click on it, you just can't see it. And then, yeah, so we're gonna get this guy's jump scares to work, and then we're gonna get to that. So after you have on timer event Freddy lullaby, to make my job easier, I'm just gonna go right click, fire event after given delay, and I'm gonna say after 10 seconds again, I'm gonna just say Bonnie jump scare, because I don't really have like the frames to make a yeah, I really don't have the frame to make you know, like a Freddy jump scare. I didn't make that at all. So I'm just gonna use Bonnie's jump scare. You are welcome to add in Freddy's jump scare. It is pretty easy now that you have a little more knowledge on how to use Clickteam. So that shouldn't be hard. But of course, if it is kind of difficult, you just ask me in the comment section. I can help you with that. You have to make sure that this is case sensitive. If you're following along me exactly, and you also have Bonnie Jumpscare kind of active, you can just go up to Bonnie Jumpscare and make sure that it is the exact same code, case sensitive, all that. So if we test this out now, we're gonna shut all the doors, and we're just gonna lift up the camera, just wait a little bit. Alright, let me move that out of the way. Okay, as you can see, we're gonna wait for Freddy to come out. Freddy's gonna come out, and then after his eyes appear, after about 10 seconds, Bonnie's gonna jump scare us. Correct? There we go. Bonnie jump scared us. Obviously, another issue, however. So Bonnie jump scared us, and then obviously, since we already have the code for Bonnie jump scare in, after Bonnie jump scares us, it's just gonna take us right to the game over screen. But we can still see the eyes in the doorway. So to get rid of that, we want to go over to on timer event Freddy Lullaby. We want to go over to Eyes in the Dark, right here. I don't know why the eyes are. Oh yeah. After this, and then, ooh, actually, that isn't gonna work because we already have a code for the Eyes in the Dark appearing. So we might have to do a we might have to do a counter situation right now. So what we want to do next is we want to go back to the frame. We want to go right click, insert objects, go to counter, and we're gonna rename this to Freddy Powerout appearance. So basically what we want to do here is when our counter equals 0, Freddy's eyes are not there. When the counter equals 1, his eyes are going to be there. So we want to go over to on timer event Freddy Lullaby, and we want to go over and go to Freddy Powerout appearance, right click, set counter to 1. So when it's set to 1, and you can get rid of this code then. You can keep it or get rid of it. It doesn't really matter. But I'm actually gonna get rid of it just because like this code right here that says on timer event Freddy Lullaby the eyes appear, because the counter's already gonna make the eyes appear and disappear. So just not to clutter everything up. So after that, you set the counter to 1. We're gonna go over to new condition. Go over to Freddy Powerout appearance. Get rid of the counter to value. When it is equal to 0, we are going to make the eyes in the dark, right click, visibility, invisible. We're going to make them invisible. We're going to go over to new condition now, go over to Powerout appearance, compare the counter to a value, 1, and we're going to make the eyes reappear. So visibility reappear. And we have to actually make some code for this, which we already did so far. We have set counter to 1 after the Freddy Lullaby plays. So that's good. We have it so that his eyes appear, but then we gotta also make one where his eyes disappear. So what to do there is you can go over to where it says Freddy Lullaby, and where it says fire event Bonnie jumpscare after 10 seconds, you can go right click, fire event after given delay again, and we're gonna say after 10 seconds, eyes disappear. So basically Freddy's eyes disappear after 10 seconds. The same amount of time it takes for Bonnie jumpscare. So we're gonna copy, okay, on new condition, on the timer, on event, eyes disappear. We're gonna go over to the power out appearance, or Freddy power out appearance. Right click, set counter to 0. So this should work now. And actually, before we do that, we have to make sure that our starter frame event has it so that we go right click, set counter to 0, so the game can actually kind of comprehend that yes, Freddy's eyes are not appearing yet. So here we are, we're gonna wait, close doors, fiddle around with some stuff, and then Freddy's eyes are gonna appear. Okay, so open these doors now, lights disappear, and Freddy's eyes are gonna appear. Yep, and then after 10 seconds, his eyes are going to disappear and Bonnie is going to jump scare us. And, yep, his eyes are gone and Bonnie jump scared us. That is exactly what we want to do. Adds to the realism, because your eyes don't want to appear there when Bonnie jump scares us. But anywho, now that we have that done, now we're going to make it so that you can't click any of this once your power goes out. You can't click your cameras, you can't click your doors, you can't click your lights. And this is going to be way easier than you might think. So after this, you want to actually scroll all the way back up to your left light event, and you want to do this for both your light buttons, your door buttons, and your camera system. So go over to where it says left light, and where it says user clicks on left light button while it equals 0, you want to go right click, insert, go over to power, compare the counter value when it is lower or equal than, when it is greater or equal than 1. So basically, when you actually have power, you're able to click it. And to make your job easier, you can just kind of, instead of going over to your other left light event, you go right click, insert, go over to power, compare the counter value when it's greater than 1, and then do that. You can just hold down and you can just kind of copy it. So you can hold down your left, I'm just going to control C so I guys can see this. So you can just kind of hold down your power is greater or equal than 1 and just drag it down to whatever number you want it to copy to. Do not copy it over like this. It's like where it copies over the code, because then it's just going to take over the code. Like if you do it over this, it's just going to copy that. So just hover it over like code line number 8, for example, and it adds on to that code instead, which is actually what I'm gonna do, I think. Actually, I don't think I am, just for simplistic reasons. But after you got that done, go over to right light now. Go over to where it says user clicks on left button on the right light. Go right click, insert. Go over to the power. Compare the counter value when it is greater than 1. Greater or equal than 1, not greater than 1. And then once you have that done, go over to where it says this, power, greater or equal than 1. And you want to do this for every kind of instance. So if your light is on and you click on it so it's off, then you got to do that. Just basically this code right here is when the light is off and you press the button, it kind of turns on the light. And if you go to this code, you press the button while the light is on so that it turns off. Just for every instance, like I said before. Go over to where it says user clicks on left button while the left door activation equals 0. Right click, insert, power, compare the counter value when it is greater or equal than 1. Cool. Go over to where it says user clicks on left button on when left door activation equals 1. Right click, insert, go over to power, compare the counter value when it is greater or equal than 1. Alright, then you want to go over to the right door, and basically, I think you guys get the idea of this, just go over to every instance. No, where is it? Power, compare the counter value when it is greater or equal than 1. I'm gonna just kind of drag this over here, and now, once you have all the door buttons and light buttons, then you want to go over to camera animation, and you want to do the same thing as well, which is going to be my last thing. And I'm actually going to drag the code where it says power is greater or equal than 1, and I'm just going to drag it over these numbers in particular. So where it says user clicks on the camera toggle while it equals 0, I'm going to just drag it over that. And I'm also going to drag it over to where it says where you click on the camera toggle when it equals 1. And that should work. So let's test this out. And as you can see, we can click stuff, we can close doors, click the light buttons, close doors, lift up the camera, all that. But once the power runs out, then it's not going to be an issue. Yep. So you can't click any of these now. And you can't even click, oh shit. You can't click your camera button at all. So that works. You can't click anything. But another issue is that we want to make it so that if you have your camera up and the power equals 0, you want to make it so that the camera lifts down You want to make it so that the doors open up if they're closed and the power runs out. You know, all that. Go over to left hallway light activation, compare the counter value. When it is equal to 1, we're going to go right click, insert, and we're going to go over to power, compare the counter value. When it is lower or equal than 0, next, after we got that done, we want to make it so that we want to go over to the timer event, and we want our timer event to copy the exact same code that happens when we turn the light off. So basically, when I press the left, and this is normally, when I press the left hallway light while the light is on, it automatically turns off. And to prove that, we have a code called left hallway light dark. And after 300 of a second, the left hallway light activation counter equals 0. That means it is off. And instead of making another bunch of code that kind of turns the code off by itself down there, we could go over to this left hallway light activation, and we're gonna go right click, edit, don't mess with anything here, press OK, and just copy this code. And then after you copy it, scroll all the way back down to where it says, left hallway light activation equals 1, aka it's on, while the power is lower than equal to 1. We can go over to the timer, right click, fire event after giving delay. We'll say 300 of a second, make this right away, and just say, left hallway light dark. And to prove my point and make sure this works, we're gonna go over, just waste some power, whatnot. I'm gonna keep this light on though, just to prove my point, and it should work. Yep, that left hallway light turned off, and I can't click it again because that's how it works. And obviously we're gonna do it for the right hallway light and the doors. But we're going to just finish up the lights first. So then, go over to new condition, go over to right hallway light activation now, go over to compare the counter value. When it is equal to 1, want to go right click, insert, power, compare the counter value. When it is lower or equal than 0, you want to scroll right back up to where your right hallway light is turned off. So when I go over to my right light and I say, user clicks on right button while the hallway light is on, it says right hallway light dark, and obviously it sets the counter to 0. We want to go right click, edit, and we want to copy this code down because it's automatically going to do the work for us since we already set it up. So once you have it copied down, go back down here to the timer, right click, fire event after giving delay, 300 of a second like before, and we're going to say right hallway light dark. It's as easy as that. And that is also going to work, but not to waste too much time, I'll just keep going and do the doors now. So now that we got the lights working, we're now going to do the doors. So we're going to go over to new condition, go over to left door activation, compare the counter value. When it is equal to 1, aka it's closed, right click, insert, power, compare the counter value. When it is lower or equal than 0, we want to go up to where our code says the door goes up. So fire vent, left door opened after 3 seconds. We want to copy that. We want to go edit, okay, and we want to copy that. And we want to go down, go over to where it says left door activation equals 1, and power is lower or equal to 0. Right click, fire vent after giving delay. After 300 of a second, the left door open is gonna activate, which will automatically make make an animation of the door opening and stuff like that. And to prove that, I'm just gonna test if that works really quick. And additionally, I'm also gonna turn on the right light too, since we haven't tested out the right light opened. So both of these are going to disappear now when this equals 0. Yep, that disappeared, and this opened. So it's working, awesome. And we're gonna do that for the right door and also the camera system. And it's pretty much the same as this, but we're gonna go over to new condition, go over to the right door activation now, compare the counter value. When it is equal to 1, we wanna right click, insert, power, compare the counter value. When it is lower or equal than 0, we want to go over to our right door command, where it says user clicks on left door while it's closed, so it opens. We want to go over to fire vent, right door open. We want to go right click, edit, press OK, and we want to copy that down. Okay, we want to scroll down. We want to go over to the timer now where it says it equals 1, but the power's lower, it equals 0. Right click, fire vent after giving delay. After 300ths of a second, the right door will open. Cool. And we're also going to do this with the camera system, but to make sure it works, we're just going to let it happen. So I'm going to turn on the left light, and I'm just going to like close the right door because this right door is going to close. In fact, both these are going to open, not close. And, yep, both of them opened, and I can't click them again. Cool. Going way better than I thought it would. Next, what we want to do is we want to go over to new condition, go over to, well, this is going to be the final thing too, go over to camera animation trigger, compare the count to value. When it is equal to 1, I'm going to go right click, insert, power counter, compare the count to value. When it is lower or equal than 0, we want to go up to our camera animation, and where it says camera animation down, we want to go edit, okay, we want to copy that, scroll down, right click, fire vent after giving delay, 3 seconds, and we're going to trigger camera animation down. So basically this will play the animation when obviously our cameras and stuff are done. So we want to run the frame now, and this is going to work. Alright, gonna open up the camera, and when this equals 0, this is all gonna turn on. And in fact, I'm gonna close these doors, and this will lift down once this equals 0. Yup, it did, and that worked. Awesome. And obviously, the eyes are going to play to the left. They're gonna play to the left, and then Bonnie's gonna jump scare us. And to finally test out everything, we're gonna run the application so that it takes us to our game over. Yep, he jump scared us, so it works. We're pretty much done. But to do one final test, just to make sure, yes, I am right, it all works, we're gonna go run application, just load up our application, press new game, get taken right into the game, close these doors, put the camera up, and we're gonna let Bonnie jump scare us, and it's going to take us right to a game over screen. And this can only happen when you run the application, because running the application means that it can run multiple frames. If you run a frame, it only runs one frame. It can't go to any other. And this is going to work. Right? Yep. And takes us right to our game over. Awesome. And this takes us right to our menu too. Correct? Yep, it worked. The one final thing I can think of is, if you didn't do this before, just go over to your power and just, instead of say set counter to 5, just set it to 100 so that, players can actually have a chance of living. I just did that for like testing purposes, but yeah, that's it for the tutorial. We figured it out. We got power working, we got a power out jump scare, all that. Our next tutorial is going to be on time, and I feel like that time tutorial is going to be significantly shorter than any other ones in this series, because time is not very hard to figure out at all in FNaF fan games, but we'll get there when we get there. So if you guys enjoyed this episode and you want to see more, let me know in the comment section down below. Like, subscribe, do all that fun jazz, and I will see you guys in the next episode. See you guys.